video, we are going to go over entries and exits on Euro JPY. So checking out the daily, we can see that we have a level of resistance. We had a previous pin bar rejection here, and it dropped about like 300 pips. Yeah, 300. So what ends up happening is it reversed to the highs, and now it's trying to break. So when we look on higher structure, we can see that we're coming up to this rejection. So we're seeing if it can reject in this area. Okay, so let's just see what happens here. So what we're doing is looking for an entry. So let's say this is a new day and we're looking to take an entry. So what we want to do is we can see that we have resistance up in the 136.8, 137 area. Previously, we had rejection in this area right here. Okay, so what we're kind of looking for is if price is going to break above structure, what we want to do is see a test and then a continuation up to maybe break this resistance. So that's kind of what we're looking for. But since it's respected here, and then also we have resistance here, it's likely to come down. So we want to make sure that we do retest structure if we're going to look for buys, because we can get manipulated. And what ends up happening is the market makers, like I said, absorbs all the orders here and will take you out of that trade if you're in a buy. So we want to make sure this is confirming that we are going to continue bullish. So let's see what happens. Okay, so price goes past the 137 and then starts rejecting. So then price comes down for a retest, okay? So technically, instead of getting an entry right at structure here, we can get an entry right at structure here where it's exhausting, okay? So it exhausted at our key level at around 137.4, okay? So it couldn't go past that. So when you look on the 30-minute time frame, you can see that it's exhausting in this area. If you look on the 1 hour, you can see that as well. So if you see that many wicks testing structure and the candle body closing below that specific price, in this case 137.4, you can take a sell opportunity. Now, what you need to realize is, so 137.4, and then a stop loss of, we can do 15 pips. Okay, so what you have to realize is if you're taking an entry from here, your first target is this structure where it broke, okay? So it's right here. So that would be, why is it doing this? Oh, it's on lock for some weird reason. Okay, so what we want to do is drag it to our structure. So 136.5 would be our take profit. Okay, so we need to see if this is worth it even entering the trade, because if it ends up testing structure and then continues, then we have to get out of this sell. So risking 15 pips, 1 to 6 to make 90. That's a good trade, okay? So what we want to do is see, okay, is it going to break below structure since it's rejected in the past, or is it going to test and continue up? So let's see what happens. Okay, so it completely tanked. Okay, so it tried to test, but there wasn't enough bullish momentum. So what ended up happening is it just completely tanked below this major structure. Okay, so our entry worked out at the top where we saw exhaustion. So our next target is where support is. Okay, so we have minor support in this area right here, which price ended up actually testing. So it broke through, tested, and then continued down. We have structure right here in this area, which it's testing currently, and we have structure right here. Okay, so since this went right through and tested, we can extend our target to this level. Okay, so 135, 200. And again, you can, with these trades, you can move your stop loss as close as you want once you're in profit. Once it's trending in your way, you can move it way closer. Like if you want to move it above this level, by all means, go ahead. So what ended up happening is it tested structure. So you're at a 1-to-14 ratio, risking 15 pips to make 220. Okay. So again, you can move that stop loss right above this level so that you have locked in 220 pips just in case it reverses all the way back. Okay, so let's just see what happens. So it comes up and it comes down to this structure, tests and close. So you can either, like I said, you can move your stop loss right above here and we can continue down. So you can either take profit in this structure, which would give you almost 300 pips. Then you can put a stop loss above here. Or what you can do is put a stop loss here and you would still bank 220 pips. So it's either on this level where structure was here or this level. Okay, so what ended up happening is rejected in this level. So on the 1 hour, you can see that confirmation. So that's why I preach about retests, because what ended up happening here is it broke structure from previous, tested, continued down. Then people would think, oh, okay, it's selling. And then the market manipulates you and goes all the way back up structure. There's no retest on this. It closes below and tests structure here and then tests this structure again. Does that make sense? Hopefully. Okay, so what ends up happening is since this respected, again, this could be your target and you could get out with almost 300 pips. So let's just see what happened next. Okay, so what ends up happening is it comes up to here around 135.8. So when we get that confirmation, we can see that it rejected here and then tried to close above and then tested this and then closed. So here's our second entry, really, because it didn't go above this 135.8. It closed below, tested, and continued down. So, like I said, you have two things. Your first target is here. Your second target is here. Your third target is here. All you're doing is looking left. First, second, third. Okay? So it's up to you. If you want to hold that entry for that whole entire time with that major low, that's 429 pips. Let's say you just took profit at 220 or 300 and you got out. That's fine. Because what you can do is you can wait for that pullback, that correction, and then when it exhausts, you can take that sell again. So what we do is we take the sell at 135.8. So this is a wick entry, but again, you can get these precise entries on the lower time frames and then a stop loss right above. Doesn't matter, I'm not worried about the stop loss. Okay, and so what ends up happening is price respects at 138 or 135.8 and then rejects. So our first target's here, comes up for a correction, and then completely tanks. So your first target, even if you got out here, again, 137 pips. So it ends up breaking, then testing, exhausting, and then going down to that major low. So if you held it that would be about 270 pips. So do you see how I'm not like going far back into what happened previously, and I'm not going on the monthly and weekly and all that kind of stuff? By all means, look at the monthly to see what's happening. But I mean, I'm only focusing on the 4 hour, and then I'm just dropping it down to take the entries and seeing exhaustion. That's literally all you need. Just from this top structure exhausting, that's 425 pips. Within, let's see. Within 5 days, 420, what was it, 427 pips in 5 days. That's just on one pair. That's just figuring out what the high is, where it rejected, where it supported, and then just doing break and tests. That's it. Okay, so it's really, really simple. You just have to be watching the market and like focus on what it's telling you at all times. Don't just guess, just focus on exactly what it's telling you. Okay, so this was another good risk reward example.